What is up, y'all? Happy New Year. My name is Cameron, and today we are going to be doing a full review of the ChessUp 2 electronic chessboard from Bryght Labs. I received this board just before Christmas. I paid for this board myself. I'm not affiliated with Bryght Labs in any way. I backed the Kickstarter when the Champions Chess Tour finals were going on last year, purely because I wanted to see what the board was like. I'm very familiar with chestnut boards, and I wanted to see how this board compared, use it for some review content. You know how it goes. So I finally received the board. I've had about 3 to 4 weeks to play with it. I'm happy I waited to do this review. Bryght Labs has since released several software updates to the board, which have actually changed my opinion of the board itself. So I'm happy I waited. Ultimately, I think this is a really fun board. I think it does what it intends to do quite well. If you're wondering what makes this unique against other, electronic chessboards on the market, the main selling point, in my opinion, is that you can use this board without a secondary device. So you don't need a phone or you don't need a computer to play with it. You do need one to set it up. So don't get me wrong, you still need a phone to help get this set up, get you connected to different chess platforms like chess.com and Chess. But after you're connected, and as long as you're connected to Wi-Fi, you can just take this board and go play with it. And I think that's very unique for boards in this price range. I'll talk at the end of this video how I think this board compares to a range of other like boards on the market. The only other board that really meets that same criteria is the Chestnut Evo, which is more than twice as expensive. So I don't think that's a fair comparison. But overall, I think it's a fun board. It does certain things really well. It leaves a little bit to be desired, which I will speak about kind of when I do my, as I'm talking through the product, but particularly at the end when I summarize my thoughts. But we're going to dive right in. We're going to talk about the hardware, which I'm actually really impressed by. We're going to talk about the different features. I will show you gameplay. And then at the end, we'll talk about final thoughts, how this compares to other boards, and who I think this board is for. So without further ado, we will get into it. And of course, I've got to mention our special visitor, Chimichanga, on his bed. He's here for the review as well. So let's dive in. The standout aspect of this board for me is in the hardware. I think this board is built quite well. There's a lot of small features that I really enjoy about the board, which I will talk about. And overall, I think it's built solidly. It's a great size for playing. It's pretty thin. The screen size is perfect for what you need it for. The board that I received is great build quality. I've heard from other consumers that they've noticed some DLAM of the playing surface, particularly in the corners around the screen. I can't say that I've noticed that on my board, but it's something to look out for long term. I can't speak to that. I've also read, from other purchasers of the board that they've had some piece recognition issues. I think it's a minor issue, and I know Bryght Labs has been quick to respond. I had no issues with piece recognition on any of my pieces, so the board I received is perfectly functional. I think the hardware is great. Some of the features that I really love about the board, it's got an interesting a texture to the plane surface. And the reason I like that is because the felt catches it in a way that makes it so the pieces stay locked down where they are in the squares. And the reason that's important is when you're playing online and you randomly get selected to play black, you've got to rotate the board. And when you do that, your pieces aren't sliding on the surface of the board. I actually have other electronic chessboards that when you do this, they actually slide across the board, they become off center, and then you got to fix them all before you start your game, which is really annoying. You can even see there that the king and queen actually tipped over because of what I was doing. And I would rather have that than a super smooth surface where the pieces are like sliding too easily over. And don't get me wrong, it's not like sandpaper, okay? You can still slide pieces. If you're a piece slider, no problem at all. Other hardware features I really like about the board, it's got a nice solid switch on the side to turn it on. I'm going to turn it back off for now. The USB-C plugin is on the side here next to that switch. I've turned the brightness up on the camera so that you can see the rank and file indices are on all four sides of the board. Because of that, you have to play with white on this side of the board with the LED screen on your right because the rank and files are marked specifically. Now, I'm going to turn the brightness down on my camera, and I'm going to speak to my one main gripe about the hardware of the board. I'm going to show you a piece. I'm going to try and get it to focus, and I'm showing you this rook. There's a little bit of marbling in the white. It's not fully uniform. Sorry, I'm trying to keep that focus on my hand and not on the board. And it's hard to tell, but there's a bit of marbling, and for me, it's just a turnoff. Like, it's an aesthetic thing. It's so minor. It doesn't matter at all. But I really wish they would have made it a brighter, kind of more uniform white, much like the black pieces, which are very uniform. There's no marbling whatsoever, so I don't know what they used for the polymer in the white pieces, but for me, it's a turnoff. It's minor, it's very personal, and it doesn't affect play whatsoever. So those are my comments on the hardware. Well built. I'm usually highly critical of piece weight. These feel just fine to me. They're not like particularly heavy. They're also not particularly light. I love the size of the board. It's slightly bigger than like the the Chestnut Air and the Chestnut Air Plus. It's great for playing casually. And overall, I think it's solidly built. I think that's the standout feature of this board is the hardware. Now that the brightness is turned down, we're going to dive straight into the features of the board. So I'm going to turn it on. I just hit the switch. You can see the LED lighting up. I'm going to leave this brightness down. It allows you to see the LEDs better. You can see them light up as I turn it on. And that's one other feature that I think they've done such an incredible job with this board are the LEDs. Now, I'm looking on the screen. They don't look crazy bright as I touch these pieces, but in real life, it's a very vibrant and beautiful looking color. Very easy to see. It's -2 degrees here in Minnesota, so I have not taken this board outside to see how it looks in bright daylight because it's too cold. But the LEDs look really great. Another extremely unique feature about the ChessUp 2 is you can see when I touch a piece, it lights up. This touch recognition feature is so unique, and I'll dive more into that to show what the purpose of that is. But the LEDs look great. Let's start right away with, I'm going to start actually with as if it's a two-player game. So this would be a setup like I'm playing another person over the board, and I'm going to turn, you can change the amount of assistance that you're given for either side, black or white. So for the white pieces, since white is facing me, I'm going to turn the assistance all the way up to what they call the master level. So what that does is it actually is going to show me if I'm making a blunder, a mistake, an inaccuracy. It's going to show me if a move is good, excellent, and then it's also going to show me the best move. So that comes in handy if you're playing more of a novice at chess and they need a little extra help to understand how the pieces move and what makes a good move. You can use this feature. I'm going to show you how it works. So I'm the white pieces, and I'm going to touch a piece, and now it's going to show me blue is a good move, green is the best move. So I'll move e4. With black, I didn't turn on the assistance, so you can see, you can see that it's not going to give me any color. They're all just going to be blue. No matter what piece I touch that I can, move right now, it's just going to show me blue because I have no assistance for the black pieces. So let's say we play here, and let's touch a few different pieces and see what we get from the white side. Now, we've got the bishop. We can see we've got several good moves in the blue squares and then two reds, which are mistakes or blunders. We can touch the knight. Moving that knight to the edge of the board is a red move. Same with the other knight. And it's telling me that knight f3 is the best move in this position because it's green. Any move with the queen looks like a mistake or a blunder. And so this feature it's just so cool. It works really well. The LEDs look awesome. There's not a lot else to say. You can set varying levels of assistance as well. So for the purposes of showing you, I made the white pieces give me the most assistance, but you can tone it down to where it only tells you, if you're making a blunder or not. You can make it tell you if you're making, it's going to give you like Green is best, excellent, good, and inaccurate, and then it'll show blunders. Green would be best, excellent, good, blue being mistaken inaccuracies, and then red being blunders. So there's varying levels depending on what you want, and you can adjust it for either the black or the white pieces. Next, I'm going to show you gameplay online. One of the reasons that I'm happy I waited to do this review, when I first received the board, there weren't that many time controls available to select from on this board, but now there are. From rapid time controls, you can choose 10 minutes, 15, 10, 30 minutes, 10, 5, 20, 60. Blitz, you've got 3, 3, 2, 5, 5, 5, 5, 2. And you can even play bullet, which I would never recommend. I don't even know why they have bullet time controls on here. What a nightmare when you have to move your own opponent's pieces. But you can play 1 minute, 1-1, or 2-1 on this board also. I'm going to fire up like a 5-0 only because the most people play that. After you select play, whoops, I hit the bot button. After you select play, oh no. Sorry, I want to select unrated, random color, and then I'll hit play. We'll see how long it takes to find a game for the purposes of this review. I'll speed up the video if I have to. Overall, I think the response time on this is very good. I will also show you a game where I queue it up on my phone so you can see how quickly it's responding to the actual moves. But in my experience, it's very responsive. It's on par with any other electronic chessboard that I've used, any of the chestnut boards. It works really, really well. So looks like I am struggling to find a 5-0 unrated game. I might have to fire up a rated game just to find a opponent for this video. And that's no big deal. So I'll start that game and see if I'm going to get the white or the black pieces. I did get the black pieces, so you see right away it flips the screen over because it knows that I'm black. You get this centered, and I'm just going to play quick moves. I'm going to play so that you can see the response time very clearly. What I love and what I mentioned in the beginning of this video is the simplicity, right? If you want to just grab this board, fire up a game, it's so easy to do. It has the information you need, which is the time that you have, your opponent, and their ranking. And we'll keep playing. It'll show you also when there's a mismatch in piece. So there now my king blinks because I'm under check, and I'm going to block that check. And I want to get to the point where we exchange some pieces because that actually is a pretty key feature of the board. Here, I'll take a pawn. And you can see, maybe it's small in the video, but you can see the +1 that popped up because I was up a pawn. Now we're even again, and that's going to disappear. It's going to show here that I've captured a white pawn and white has captured a black pawn. We're going to keep making moves. There's one thing about the gameplay that I don't like about this board, and I'll show you again on another exchange. This board forces you to arrange the pieces in each position as they occur. And I know that kind of sounds weird, but I'll explain what I mean. Hopefully here I'm going to try and induce a trade. Okay, so he took. Now, on a chestnut board, I could take both of these pieces off the board, replace with my move, and it would catch up. But on the ChessUp 2, I have to actually create the position and then make the capture. So that's one thing to keep in mind, especially when you're playing faster time controls. That's going to slow you down because you can't essentially like pre-move over the board. Obviously, this game is going quite poorly for me. I'm not really focusing on the moves. I'm just trying to show you the gameplay and how nice it is. It's smooth. The screen is beautiful. And I'm actually just going to resign because I think you have seen quite enough of this gameplay. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what it's like to fire up a game from my phone. So we'll go to the home. You can see the kind of winning animation from the LEDs. Get these pieces set up. And the reason I want to show you from my phone is I want you to see that the response time is actually quite good, right? You know, when you don't have what's actually going on online in front of you, you don't actually know how good the response time of the board is. So I'm going to pull up the ChessUp app, and hopefully you can see that all right. I'm going to go to chess.com, which I'm already signed in, and I'm going to do the same thing. It's just like if you were playing on your phone. I'm going to go to a 5-minute game. I'll do rated again. I think, is it showing rated? Where's the custom controls? It's rated just so I can find a game. And here you can see, okay, I'm the white pieces now, so you'll be able to get a good look at what the response time is between what's going on the screen and what isn't. I think I just played the King's Gambit. I have no idea. Again, I'm just trying to show you the responsiveness of the board itself. Very responsive. I have no complaints. I've never had an issue with this board. I am just going to keep playing standard moves here so you can continue to see, but I don't think it necessarily makes sense to continue playing on. So online gameplay is great. You've got a variety of time controls to play from. You can utilize your phone to access even more unique time controls. I'm going to go ahead and resign this game. I don't need to play it. I'll get it reset up again, and then we'll start talking about some of the other features. The next feature I'll show you are playing bots. So pretty standard. You hit the play bot button. You can choose your AI strength, anywhere from 1 to 12. In the app, it shows you what ELO that corresponds to. I'm just going to pick 7. You can choose your assistants. And again, so it's weird that here they don't actually show you kind of the names like they did in a 2-player game. But let's say I don't want any assistants when I play this bot. I'm going to set it to 1. And I'll say I play as black since I've already set up with black on my side. And, the response time when you're playing a bot is pretty immediate. Playing a Caro Kann here again. And, it's pretty standard for playing a bot on a electronic chessboard. You can play with different time controls. So let me go back. I'll discard that game. You can set it up with time controls, which I don't think makes sense when you're playing a bot. I mean, it keeps you honest on time, but you're playing a bot that has, it's a computer, so it shouldn't take any time. Now, let me see. Yeah, you can't set a time control from the board itself, but if you start a bot game from your phone, you can set a time control. I didn't mention this in the 2-player game, but when you set it up from the board as well, you cannot select a time control, but you can if you do it from your phone, which to me is kind of weird. I hope that's a feature they bring eventually, allowing to choose a time control from the board itself when you want to play a 2-player game, because I think time is an important feature, especially when you go back and look at the games, in your history. Other features of this board, you actually can play checkers on it. This is not going to be a checkers review. I've never done it. I don't intend to get the checkers pieces, but if you have kids that want to play checkers, you can play checkers on it. Very fun. Board editor, let's say you want to set up a specific position, play from a specific position. You want to, set up a specific opening. Maybe we say we want to play, start from a Queen's Gambit. We can play on from here. And then, black is playing. And you can just play on from a specific position if you would like. And the other feature that is not ready yet is playing on Lichess. So this will have lichess.org functionality. It's not there yet as of today, January 23rd. But it will bring that functionality to users of Lichess. So those are the features of the board. Like I mentioned, it does what it intends to do very well. Now, I'll talk a little bit about some of the negative criticisms I have of this board. There's just some features that don't work quite so well. And in particular, it's the interaction between using your phone and the board together. What I mean by that, for example, like I said, on the 2-player game, if I want to start a new game here, I can set it up with a time control. Let's say we do 5-5. We're going to play a game. I'm going to play as black. We start the game, and I've set this up like 2 people are playing, so I've got to make the move for white. One weird thing that happens is white has made a move. Black's clock isn't going yet. You probably can't see that in the video. Black makes a move. Black's clock is still not counting. White's now is. So I'll make a move with white. They get the 5-second increment, and now black's clock is counting. So there's some weird anomalies there with the clock. I'm going to go ahead and abort that game. So that's weird. They've got a feature using the phone to do lessons. It's actually this learn button down here. They've got some fundamentals lessons, like literally how do the pieces move, how do you checkmate, some beginner endgame theory. But I've found that these are not really fully functional yet. For example, let's just do promoting a pawn. And I want to start the lesson. It's going to tell you what you need. It says start with a clear board and make sure the A1 square is on your left. So I do need to flip the board around to do this. It says you'll need the following pieces. You need a white king and pawn, and then you need a black king. So let me make sure that's straight. I'm going to move all the pieces off the board just to show you how this works. Sorry, that was not very clean. I'm going to start the lesson, and you can hear Okay, so we do that. Okay, so I'm going to pause this. My phone is vibrating like crazy. You can see the LED is blinking because it's not quite recognizing what's going on. If I put the other pieces where they're supposed to be, here, let me get the white king where it's supposed to be and the black king where it's supposed to be. It's still, my phone's vibrating like crazy. The LED is blinking. It just doesn't quite work yet. It's a super cool feature when they get it dialed in, but it's just not ready yet. So in the beginning of the video, I know I mentioned the board leaves a little bit to be desired. That's what I mean. A very neat feature of the board is going back and seeing your history using the app. So you can see maybe the two chess.com games that I played to demo the board just a few moments ago. I can look back at the game itself. It shows me all the moves that got made, which is cool. You can do that straight from the app. You don't need the board once it's in your history. And then you actually can look at games that you play over the board. So let's say I go play a 2-player game, finish the game, however it ends, somebody resigns, somebody checkmates. It will save here so I can go back and look at that game. So this is a game I think I did the other day. I intentionally made this game end in a checkmate quickly just to check the history functionality, and you can go back and look at the different moves. Now it doesn't show you, it doesn't show you the evaluation of the positions, which I would like to see, but it's still a very neat feature to keep a history of your games, obviously. So that's what I have to say about kind of the functionality between the board and the phone app. If all you wanted this board for was to go play games using the board, it works great. As you dive more into the app, you start to notice some of the incompleteness, and I think that speaks to Bryght Labs trying to bring this board to market quickly as it related to their Kickstarter timeline. And I'm not going to pretend to know what that's like, to know what kind of pressures the company was under to bring this board to market on the timeline that they had communicated. So I completely understand from that perspective the board not quite being finished yet, but it's something to be aware of when you're buying this. So let's go back to kind of the overall look, and we're going to talk about my thoughts on the board overall and how this compares to other electronic chess boards. If you made it this far, thank you. I am about to dive into my overall thoughts on the board, and I'm going to do some comparisons to some chestnut boards. Before I do that, I just want to say thank you to all my viewers. Thank you to all my subscribers. If you want to help support my channel, it helps me the most if you like this video, comment, ask me any questions, and ultimately hitting subscribe. I think the last time I looked, I was somewhere around 830 subscribers. I'm making that push to 1,000. I'm going to get there this year. Thank you to everybody that's already subscribed, and really appreciate it if you are a new subscriber. Overall, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I do think this board is very fun. I think it does what it set out to do quite well. And I also think, as I mentioned, kind of in the overall look at the board, there are some parts of it that feel unfinished, but I do think that they are going to bring those different features to fruition and make them more seamless as they continue to refine the product through software updates. Um, Overall, yeah, I like the board. It's fun to play on and it's unique. There is really nothing else on the market like it where it has a screen that you can just grab it and go play without needing a phone after the initial setup. The only other board that compares to it in that way, and I mentioned this in the beginning, is the Chestnut Evo. The Chestnut Evo is more than twice as expensive. I don't think it's a fair comparison at all. The Evo has a much wider feature set. It's got a bigger screen, et cetera, et cetera. So to me, I don't think that's a fair comparison. When you're looking at a board like the ChessUp 2, you're going to be comparing it to most likely the Chestnut Air and Air Plus, maybe the Chestnut Go, which is a little bit smaller, or you have the Square Off Pro, which is like a tournament size electronic chess board. So it's a much bigger size board. I don't know if it quite would be in the same realm of what you're looking at here. I would say positives for the ChessUp 2 compared to Chestnut boards in the similar price range is size. This is a nice size to play on compared to the Chestnut Air or the Chestnut Air Plus or even the Chestnut Go, which is even smaller. This is much nicer to play on, um, especially when you're playing another person. Now, I really like the smaller size of the Chestnut products for like studying books because it's a much smaller board. You can put it on your lap. It fits better on a table. But this is actually better, in my opinion, for practical playing from a size perspective. If you really wanted an over the board experience and you want to be so detached from your phone, then you've got to go with this product when you're comparing to Chestnut products. You can't utilize the Chestnut Go or the Air Plus without using your phone to start games, whether you're playing over the board or online. And then it's going to come down to aesthetics. So obviously, this is kind of like a more modern take on the chessboard. It's black and white. You've got a screen, obviously. The Chestnut Air and Air Plus go more for a classic look. The Air Plus is completely wooden. The Air Original is like a mix of plastic and wood, but it's got a completely different feel. So if you don't really like the modern look and you don't mind needing a phone, then you're obviously going to go with the Chestnut products. I think the Air Original is cheaper than this board currently at around 249 US dollars. Mentioned in the beginning, but the ChessUp 2 is currently on sale for 300. So in the same price point, I think the Air Plus would be slightly more than 300, and then the Chestnut Go is actually cheaper by a significant amount. I think right now it's retailing for 179 or 189 US dollars. But there you're getting a much smaller form factor, is very particular use case, wanting to travel with. Boards like this, in my opinion, and I think other reviewers would probably disagree with me, I just don't see this as a travel board. You can buy a case, it fits all the pieces, it fits the board. It's kind of like a messenger bag. But I don't really want to travel with a board like this. If you're traveling with a board like this, I want it to be small. I want it to be like the Chestnut Go. I don't want it to be this size. This is more, in my opinion, for playing at home, playing friends, playing family, playing over the board games at your table. But I'm not taking this with me on a vacation or a trip or to the coffee shop, whatever. It just, that for me, I don't think this form factor really works. And I would say that about the Chestnut Air and the Air Plus also. So I hope that helps when you're considering this board amongst the different products. Of course, I need to give a shout out to Chestnut, who is the sponsor of my YouTube channel. So thank you to Chestnut. You can check out all my reviews of all of their products. Their Chestnut Move is coming soon. I hope I can get my hands on that soon. It's got pieces that move automatically. Be very interested to see what that board is like. Stay tuned for that. Again, if you have any questions about the ChessUp 2, leave me a comment, like this video, subscribe to my channel. All those things help me immensely. Until the next video, thank you so much, and I hope this was helpful.